All right, moving on to other news. 670 days. That's how long Israel has waged a relentless campaign of siege, starvation, and slaughter in Gaza. Countries around the world, and now even Israelis, have accused the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu of trying to erase Gaza. But he remains brazen, even going as far as to justify it and discrediting reports and images of starvation in Gaza as lies. On Monday, Palestinians in Gaza City held funerals for loved ones killed in an Israeli strike that targeted Zetuan neighborhood southeast of Gaza City. Palestinians reported the heaviest bombardments in weeks in areas east of Gaza City. And that's just hours after Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said he expected to complete a new expanded offensive in the enclave fairly quickly. Witnesses also said that Israeli tanks and planes pounded Sabra, Zetuan and Shejaya, three eastern suburbs of Gaza City, pushing many families out of their homes westwards. Gazans also gathered to bury 6 journalists killed in an Israeli strike, 5 from the Qatari broadcaster Al Jazeera. Among them was 28-year-old Anas al-Sharif, who was one of Gaza's most recognizable reporters. Also killed were Mohammed Krekhe, Ibrahim Zahir, Mohammed Nofal, Momin Aliva, and freelance journalist Mohammed Al-Khaldi. Israel accused Sharif of being a terrorist linked to Hamas, publishing a graphic branding him eliminated. Al Jazeera says its team was hit while working in a press tent outside Gaza City's Al-Shifa hospital. Mourners, some in blue press flag jackets, carried the bodies through narrow lanes to their graves. The United Nations called the killings a grave breach of international humanitarian law. And Qatar's Prime Minister called them crimes beyond imagination. Not just that, from around the world too, condemnation poured in. Italy's defense minister accused the Israeli government of having lost its reason and humanity and signaled openness to sanctions. And all this comes as Netanyahu pushes to seize Gaza. Netanyahu said on Sunday that he is determined to press ahead with the new plan to take over Gaza City and said that the Israeli army have taken control of about 70 to 75% of Gaza. Netanyahu's plan has also triggered demonstrations in Israel. Thousands took to the streets in Tel Aviv to call for an end to the war in Gaza. Demonstrators wave signs and hold up pictures of hostages still being held in the Palestinian territory, as they call on the government to secure their release. Allies have also condemned it. Germany has decided to suspend some weapons shipments to Israel. And Australia has joined a number of nations in saying that it will recognize a Palestinian state. But Netanyahu remains defiant. He has said, "We will win the war with or without the support of others." And what about the United States of America? It says that military plans are pretty much up to Israel in what looks like a brazen endorsement of the Israeli plans to take control of Gaza. The United Nations continues to warn that Netanyahu's expansion plan could trigger another calamity. Gaza is already on the brink of famine, with aid severely disrupted and restricted. According to Gaza Health Ministry, at least 61,430 Palestinians have been killed since the war began. Almost 2 years later, life for Palestinians, it has now been essentially reduced to survival. And this weekend, 5 more died from malnutrition. The total now stands at 217, and this includes at least 100 children. The Save the Children organization has called it a devastating milestone that shames the world, yet strikes on Gaza continue. In northern Gaza, families are trekking over 10 kilometers to the Zikkim crossing just for one bag of wheat. Since late May, 1,373 people have been killed trying to get food, most the UN says, by the Israeli forces. But ask the residents of Gaza, and they say it's rather a grim choice. You either risk your lives, bullets, or you starve literally to death. Global condemnation continues to grow at this point of time, and today French President Emmanuel Macron warned that Israel's plan for Gaza City is a disaster. It's a path to permanent war. In the statement, Macron said it was important to establish a UN-mandated stabilization mission to secure the Gaza Strip. He said, and I quote him here, "The Security Council must now work to establish this mission and give it a mandate. I've asked my teams to work on this without delay with our partners," unquote. Now, 3/4 of UN members recognize or plan to recognize a Palestinian state. As I mentioned earlier, Australia will make it official at the UN General Assembly in September. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese calls it a part of a coordinated global effort for a two-state solution, which he has described as humanity's best hope at this point of time. To end the cycle of violence, that is. Now, the Palestinian Authority has also promised to recognize Israel's right to exist, hold elections, and demilitarize. The question is, will things change coming September? We can certainly hope so. But for now, the shameful reality is that 670 days since the war started, tens of thousands of lives have been lost. Hundreds of children have been starved. And those who are left are fighting for survival. The question the world is now asking, how much longer? In northern Vietnam, there's a stretch of green farmland that has been feeding families for generations. Banana groves, fruit orchards, plots passed down for decades. But in next month, the bulldozers will arrive, and their place, a luxury golf resort, will be built, one worth $1.5 billion. And guess what? It will carry the Trump family name. Vietnamese farmers are being asked to vacate their land, which they have cultivated for years, for a mere compensation of roughly $3,200 and some rice. Now, just to be precise here, rice rations for a few months. And so what we have just reported to you is not a bad joke. It is the offer made to the Vietnamese farmers. According to a report by Reuters news agency, the same offer is being made to thousands of villagers in Vietnam's Hong Yen province, which is located just outside Hanoi. Builders call it an opportunity, but farmers, they call it eviction. The 990-hectare site has been earmarked for a sprawling resort with manicured greens replacing banana trees and the orchards there. It's the Trump family's first foray into Vietnam. And the government cleared the path very quickly. Approvals fast-tracked, right in the middle of negotiating a major trade deal with Washington. At first, compensation forecast exceeded $500 million, but somewhere along the way, that figure quietly shrank. Now, According to Reuters, offers range from $12 to $30 per square meter. A local official admits that land here rarely goes for more than $14, that is. The farmers have only one choice at this point of time: move on, or at least try to. Let's not forget, some of these farmers have no skill other than farming. So they are stuck with a low compensation, which will not help their lives, of course, in the future. Some see this as a chance to cash in. Land prices in the area have already jumped fivefold since it was announced in October. Lawyers and investors promise the resort will bring better jobs and richer customers to Vietnam. But the irony isn't lost on the people who actually work on the land. Many of them in the 50s, 60s, even 70s. The question is, what are they supposed to do for their livelihood? Vietnam's Prime Minister has said that the farmers will be reimbursed fairly. He said so in May at the groundbreaking ceremony, a ceremony attended by Eric Trump, who stood smiling in the crowd. The Trump organization will run this club when it's finished. They will not be paying for the land or the rice. That's on the Vietnamese builders who paid $5 million just for the right to put the Trump name on it. Trump himself says that his assets are held in a trust managed by his children. But financial disclosures show the income still flows back to him. So here's what it looks like on the ground right now. Thousands of farmers pay out that don't match the market, a fistful of rice as a part of the severance, and a golf course rising where farmland once stood. The Indian Air Force is running against time. Squadron numbers are falling, threats from China and Pakistan are sharpening, and the need for new fighters has never been more urgent. This next report by WION's Siddhant Sibul explains the details.
The clock is ticking, and the Indian Air Force, the guardians of the nation's airspace, are facing a critical shortfall. Their squadron strength is falling perilously below the levels required to effectively counter a combined threat from two hostile borders. Now, with the legendary MiG-21 fighter jets set to retire in September, the gap is only set to increase. With that, India will be left with just 29 active fighter squadrons, far below the sanctioned strength of 42. That's not just a dip, that's a dive into dangerous territory. Pakistan has around 25 squadrons, China having 66. A fighter squadron is generally comprised of 16 to 18 aircraft. There is also a shortfall in fighter squadrons, delays in aircraft acquisitions, pilot shortages, and inadequate training infrastructure. These factors have eroded the IAF's combat edge, with officials like Air Chief Marshal A.P. Singh publicly emphasizing the need for urgent reforms to prevent further decline. Despite ongoing modernization efforts under initiatives like Make in India, projections indicate that full readiness goals may remain elusive for years.
The impact of having a suboptimal squadron strength is something that the government needs to ponder. And I'm sure a lot of discussions are ongoing, because for a two-front threat, which it is that India is now facing, just having 30-odd squadrons, or maybe even 29 at present stage, is just not acceptable. Quantity has got a quality of its own. So since we have two fronts, this becomes serious. Earlier, we had said in the last 5 odd years, we had sort of moved all our attention to the northern border and thinking that the western border would be taken care of. But what's happened in May, the action which is there shows that the Air Force has to be as active as it was before on the western border too.
This isn't just a numbers game, it's a profound strategic vulnerability that has reportedly driven the IAF into a fresh push to accelerate a deal for new fighter jets, with the French-built Rafale at the very top of their list. While the IAF maintains core operational capabilities through exercises and limited inductions, systemic shortages pose risks to long-term readiness. Government intervention to accelerate acquisitions and resolve personnel issues is critical to restoring balance. With Siddhant Sibal, Bureau Report, WION World is One.